Long before the cross, before the crescent, and even before the thunderbolt of Zeus ruled Olympus, there was a song sung by Orpheus, half god, half human, that descended into the underworld and returned with a truth too sacred to speak aloud. These are the Orphic mysteries, forgotten by history, but not by the soul. Welcome, wanderers of the soul. Today we dive deep into the river of myth and mystery, into Orphic theology, sacred rites, and its enduring message for today's seekers. Orphic thought rose in about the 6th century BCE in the cradle of ancient Greece. This is an incredibly fertile period for philosophy, faith, and mystery, whether you are in Asia, Central Asia, India, or the West, particularly in ancient Greece. But these mysteries didn't come from the cities. It came from the forests, the caves, and the fringe. It was inspired by wandering initiates, not declared by priests in the polis, the city. Its emergence was about the 6th to 5th century BCE, and it was attributed to a mythical bard called Orpheus, and the philosophy that emerged from it intertwined with Pythagorean and Dionysian thought to influence human spirituality, esoteric thinking, and magical practice. As Plato said in his Republic 364e, these Orphic initiates say they can cleanse us from sins by rites and sacrifices, and they produce a heap of books by Musaeus and Orpheus. These weren't just myths, they were ritual texts, secret doctrines, cosmologies intended not for storytelling, not to enshrine dogma, but for salvation, personal salvation. Orpheus was more than a mythological figure. He was a symbol, what we might now call a shaman or a pathfinder, the one who sings to stones, to nature, and tames wild beasts. He descended into Hades for love, but returned with wisdom. Depending on your sources, he was the son of Apollo or a Thracian muse, or possibly both. He was certainly known for music, and most people know him from his descent to the underworld, called the Catabasis. And he was the alleged author of the Orphic hymns and the sacred theogonies. Truly exciting documents. To walk the path of Orpheus is to harmonize life and death, to walk through suffering, and to emerge with song. At the heart of Orphism lies a story, not of power, but of sacrifice, rebirth, and divine memory. In the Orphic theogony, it argues that in the beginning, chronos, time, ether, and chaos, not some anarchic clash of power and order, but the void. And that from this came the birth of a cosmic egg. From the egg observed Phanes, an androgynous light bringer and creator of the gods and ultimately of us and everything that is. That Phanos gave way to Nyx, night, then Uranus, Kronos, and finally to Zeus, and that Zeus swallowed Phanos and gives birth anew to all the gods. In the Dionysiac myth, Dionysus Zagreus is the child of Zeus and Persephone and is dismembered by the Titans. And the Titans are then struck down and humans are formed from their ashes. Therefore, humans are both part Titanic, as in material, and Dionysian, or divine. As Olympiodorus wrote in the 5th century of the Common Era, our body is Titanic, but our soul is Dionysiac. We are dual beings born of both violence, the violence of birth, and divinity. Our lives, in the Orphic view, are the journey of the divine spark back to its sources. To awaken the soul, we must cleanse it. To remember the divine, we must forget the world. The ritual elements of Orphism include initiation, telete, or teliti, secret rites aimed at purifying the soul through practices such as fasting, vegetarianism, and ascetic practices, as well as mystic symbols, golden tablets buried with the dead to guide them in Hades. Indeed, there is a 4th century BCE gold tablet, the Petelia, which was one of these tablets, which says, "I am a child of earth and starry heaven, but my race is of heaven alone." They believed in a strong ethical code of non-violence, piety, and abstinence from animal sacrifice. And there was a strong belief in metempsychosis, of reincarnation. The Orphic lived not for this life, but to escape the wheel of lives, to be free of the body's prison, to remember. There are key differences between the public Olympian religion and Orphic mysticism. In the Olympian religion, there was civic and external worship. There was a focus on this life and gaining favor of the gods. There was a practice of sacrifice of animals and then the eating of that meat. And there was a polytheistic theology, but this is hierarchical. In Orphic mysticism, there is a strong focus on individual spirituality and internal purification. There is definitely a focus on the afterlife and the soul's fate, something it shares with many of the other ancient mysteries. And there is the practice of ethical vegetarianism, and that it saw the universe as a mystical monism, that is, that all things are united or draw from a sacred energy. This quiet divergence was to shape centuries of thought, from Pythagoras to Plato, from Plato to Plotinus, from Plotinus to Pico de Mirandola and beyond. But why does Orphism matter now, in this age of algorithms and acceleration? in its relevance today. Its mystical monism is something that resonates, the idea that all is one, hidden beneath appearances. Am I the only one that in my voice heard that in the voice of Yoda? Its environmental reverence very much speaks to us today, that the sacred is in nature and the body is a temple. In reincarnation and what we would call karma, this resonates with many modern philosophical and mystical systems, as well as Eastern thought, and transcendence through art and music, the soul's awakening through beauty, and through initiatory knowledge, a hunger for direct mystical experience, not dogma. As R.G. Collingwood wrote, Orphism marks the first appearance in European history of a religion of salvation. Today's seekers, those of us drawn to the inner path, we will find in Orpheus not a relic but a guide. He still sings. He still descends and rises again. To live orphically is not to recreate ancient rites, but to remember what they tried to say. We can incorporate this in daily invocation of light. I am a child of earth and starry heaven. In meditating on our dual nature, titanic shadow and Dionysian soul. In ethical living, practicing compassion, purity, both ritual and philosophical, as well as artistic devotion, and by making artistic offerings through music, poetry, and ritual. We could meditate in the evening and sit with a candle, whispering the Orphic hymn to the stars or to the night, and imagine your soul rising through darkness, and ask, what part of me must die so the divine can remember itself? And there are some wonderful new translations of the Orphic hymns. For me, at the moment, one of the ones I use is the Patrick Dunn translation of the Orphic hymns, which is very much designed for use. And these hymns need to be read out aloud and maybe, dare I say it, sung. And they offer incenses which you can burn with them to enhance, but these are traditionally incenses connected to each of these hymns. In the end, the Orphic path, like all the mystery paths, is a path of remembering. Remembering who we are beneath the flesh, beneath the noise. Orpheus descended into death, not for power, but for love. And through love, he returned with a song that still trembles in the hearts of mystics, in our hearts. Tell Persephone that the soul of a god has returned to a holy realm. So what secrets did Orpheus bring back from the underworld? That is for Orpheus, for you, to reveal to yourself in your own practice, in your own descent and return, in your own gnosis. I am Dr. Shimon de Valencia, but much, much more importantly, like you. I am a merry mystic. May you find mystery and revelation, and may you accept your invitation to walk the inner path once sung by Orpheus himself, and in your walking may you make the mysteries live again